Hi, I here. This is a reading for the sign of Virgo. We're going to pull two cards from the Thoth deck, and that's going to represent the energy that is currently surrounding you. The card we see on the bottom of that deck is going to represent your general energy. We're then going to pull 9 cards from the huge tarot deck and turn those over little by little to see what story unfolds. The card we see on the bottom of that deck is going to represent the general theme of this reading. Then, once we've gotten an idea of what message needs to be said today, we are then going to see what we get from the shadow deck, and the top card we draw from that is going to represent what is in your unconscious energy. What we see on the bottom of that deck is going to represent what you don't see coming. So let's just see what happens. All right, so we are tuning in today to the energy of the sign of Virgo. So if that is your sun, your moon, your rising, however you currently identify with the energy of the sign of Virgo, you can use that as a way to interpret whatever messages come through today. And as always, if the message does not resonate, that's fine. Don't try to force it. Just take what fits and leave what doesn't. You can always check your other placements, or you can just stick around and see what's going on in the world of Virgos. Alright, so let's see what we get today. What messages do we have for all of our Virgos out there? Okay, so we're going to pull 2 cards from this deck, and that's going to be what is surrounding you currently. Okay, so let's see what we get. We got 1, 2, and your current energy is the 5 of Cups, disappointment. So you are currently in a space of some sort of emotional upheaval that occurred, whether through some sort of sudden event, or maybe something that was lacking in your life finally caused some sort of spillover of your emotions. But you are left in a place where you're, at least some, if not all of your cups, your emotional cups, are feeling on the empty side. So perhaps you were, again, maybe in some situation where the outcome that you expected did not come to pass, and this has left you feeling, again, this idea of disappointment, the name of this card, it's left you feeling like your cups in some sense have spilled, and there's something missing in your current situation. So what surrounds you is the 4 of Discs and the Queen of Swords. So perhaps what is disappointing you, or what has left you in this disappointing state, is perhaps you were trying to find some sort of foundation, and perhaps you have been surrounded by some feminine energy, maybe not necessarily a woman, but some sort of cold, still somewhat caring, but a little bit on the cold side energy. So perhaps someone expressed some truth that was probably for your own good, and this is most likely something related to your foundation, your living situation, or the world around you that you sort of feel grounded in. And maybe this realization that was presented to you has left you feeling a bit disappointed that the firm foundation you thought you were standing on is not there. Now, this is a place where you can still grow from. This is not necessarily a place of utter despair, but it's still leaving you feeling like there's something missing now. Again, I think some insight was probably provided to you by someone you trust, someone that cares about you, trying to express a cold, hard truth that the foundation you think you were standing on is not as firm as you really believed it to be. And so again, now we have to figure out what to do while we're in this place of disappointment. So let's see what the huge tarot deck has to say on this situation. Whether we can get some idea of what has unfolded, or maybe some advice on how to approach this situation. Let us see what the huge tarot deck has to tell us today. So we're going to pull 9 cards from this. One of my personal favorite decks, my oldest and first tarot deck. So it's a good one I like to use when I'm trying to get some kind of more personally resonating message. So let's see if it can help us get some clarity on this situation today. Okay. We have 1, 2, 3. Let's get those organized a little better. Okay, and the theme of this reading is the Eight of Wands. Yeah, so I think what has happened here is some trusted person has communicated to you something that has sort of turned your life upside down. They pointed out something to you that you thought was a solid foundation that really was not as grounded as you believed it to be. And so now you're dealing with the aftermath of that. So this here is the Eight of Wands. This is the story of a quick communication that has come in, and I think this has really turned you upside down, and now you're trying to deal with the information that's been presented to you. So we have the Hierophant. So perhaps up to this point, you were living a life that was sort of by the book. You were fitting in with the traditions of the world around you. You were doing the things that were expected of you, following the rules and traditions of perhaps family or friends. That had said, this is sort of the place you need to be settling into. This is the rules you need to follow and the kind of person you need to be. And that was probably what was making you feel grounded. That probably gave you a level of consistency and certainty that made you feel very just in your comfort zone. Okay, so then perhaps when you were living in this position of, working with the community or your family's expectations, you then were probably put in some situation where you were trying to sort of construct a life for yourself. Perhaps you were working on something or working with some people. And again, you were living this life where you were following what felt like a rule set that had been given to you. So everything felt like it had instructions. It felt like you were able to know what you needed to do when you needed to do it because there was a plan in place and you were just enacting that plan. And I think you find some comfort working with people who are like the King of Swords, who tell you how it's going to be. These are people who say this is what needs to happen, and they can almost be a little bit cold, but they tell you exactly what you need to do and what you need to know so that you can accomplish the tasks at hand. And I think that gives you a certain level of security and comfort in knowing that certainty. But I have a feeling that something's going to turn that upside down. So let's get a sense of what more is going to be told to us today. Okay, so we have a 3 of Cups and a 9 of Pentacles. So you are probably living in a situation with this level of certainty being given to you that allowed you to be able to sit comfortably and sit back and relax and enjoy the company of those around you. I get the feeling that you were living a life, maybe if not of luxury, of great comfort. Both the 3 of Cups and the 9 of Pentacles are giving me a sense that this was something that was maybe not cush, but again, very comfortable. You were able to celebrate when you wanted to and enjoy the company of the people around you. And you were able to enjoy the fruit of your labors when you wanted that time apart to sit on your own and be quiet in your own space. So I think you were very much following a by-the-books life. It's almost as if it was written for you. It was clear that there was something that needed to be done. You knew that you needed to do it. And you had, authority figures that would tell you exactly where you needed to be and when you needed to be there. And as long as you followed these rules, you were able to live comfortably and enjoy your free time, both with and without other people around. So let's see what we see here in the center. The Page of Wands. Now, I think while you were living in this place of comfort, I get the sense that with the Page of Wands popping up here in the middle, that there was probably a little bit of a sense of restlessness. So although you were able to survive by following this rule set, I think there was a little bit of energy inside of you that wanted to do something different. Something that wanted to push you to step outside of your comfort zone and not have to do everything by the book. Now, you knew that doing everything as you were told to do it is going to make you feel comfortable and safe, But the Page of Wands, he's ready for an adventure. And I think you were probably starting to get to a place of feeling like a big fish in a small pond, perhaps. Or just that you knew that there was something more that you could experience than what you were getting by just following the situation as it was being presented to you. So even though everything up here seems very positive, right, we have a really nice set here where, again, we have the authority figure, we have the plan that needs to be followed, and someone who keeps you, tells you exactly what needs to happen, allowing you to enjoy this pleasure. But then in the center of all of this is this restless energy of wanting to, search out for something else. Perhaps that's actually what the disappointment was. Perhaps the disappointment did not come from a foundation falling apart, but rather a so strong of a foundation that it almost started to become stale. Perhaps you weren't being challenged enough, and so perhaps the cup that was being emptied was the fact that you knew that you needed more out of your life than what you currently had. Not so much a stagnation, so much as a longing for something that just was not there because everything was sort of just not handed to you, but you felt like you needed a challenge to really push you out of this cycle of this is what I need to do, let me go ahead and do it. And so that's perhaps what maybe someone then brought into your life and said, maybe you should think about why you are feeling a little bit, less than satisfied with this situation. Yep. So here with the Queen of Swords, we have also the Page of Cups. I think someone who was telling it like it is, but still nurturing, brought you some message that said, hey, you have something that you are desiring that you do not have. You have a cup missing, or a cup that is not filled, and someone has come into your life, or did come into your life, to say, hey, you need to acknowledge this and realize that there's an opportunity internally that isn't being satisfied. There's some hunger that's not being satiated. And then we have a Seven of Swords. Perhaps this is the response that you had to this message coming in of, no, I'm fine. You feel this energy of the Page of Wands, this desire to step out and do something bigger, but you're perhaps deceiving yourself or even those around you by claiming that, no, everything is fine. I can just keep living this life and sort of, leaving it. I see these are the thoughts that you're sort of carrying as your burden to say, this is the justification I have for continuing to live this life. But you see that there's some swords here, some extra thoughts that are lingering behind that are not actually being taken, as he is, he's likely in this situation taking these for himself. There's some level of deception where he takes these swords, but it's not the whole picture. There's something being left out. And I think that thing that's being left out is the denial of this reality that someone who knows what's going on and is trying to show you the truth is presenting you this message that you are missing a cup, and you're trying to maybe not self-sabotage, but you're trying to, you're deceiving yourself into thinking that you really have it all together. I've got all my cups in alignment, but really you're just carrying a pile of swords, It's kind of a weird metaphor, but... And that leads to pain. So this rejection of this idea that there is more to be had, that you need to reach out for something bigger, you're deceiving whoever told you this by saying, no, I'm fine, but you're also deceiving yourself. And in reality, that pain of those swords that are not being acknowledged, I think, is leading to the representative pain of the Three of Swords, which is usually some sort of painful, if not heartbreak, it's some emotional pain that you're almost sort of picking at. So I think as you deny these thoughts and this feeling that needs to be satiated, these cups that need to be filled, the longer you ignore that, the more that pain starts to really weigh on you. And that's why we get the Three of Swords there. So this is what leads us to the disappointment. So again, I think the general message I'm getting from this is that you are living a very comfortable and by-the-book life. And that's not something that, is bad. You can be comfortable in a life like that. But I get the vibe that you are longing for something bigger and more than that. And someone has tried to present that idea to you. You have rejected that idea, and that's leading to this pain and disappointment. And so the foundation here is not that this person has uprooted the foundation, but more they have shown you that the foundation that you were living in is not so much protective as it is a prison that you are feeling somewhat trapped in. And until you come to acknowledge this reality, you're always going to have a cup or two that does not feel full. So, not the most positive message, but at least this can be taken as a wake-up call to, reevaluate the things that are around you and think, you don't have to walk away from the life that you're living, but maybe you should realize that you really need to be challenged by something more if you want to be able to fill this sort of sadness that seems to be perhaps swelling up inside of you, even if it's just subtly. This is something you should acknowledge if you really want to make sure that you're living a happy and full life. So let's see what the shadow deck has to tell us. All right, so we're going to pull one card from this deck. One more good shuffle in there. So this is going to be what's going on in your subconscious. What thoughts you're not aware of, but are still affecting you nonetheless. Okay. So we're going to pull one card. The Five of Swords. Okay, so yeah, that's another painful card. This is a card of defeat. So again, I think by rejecting this call to reevaluate and, an offer to say, hey, you should reach out and do something more with your time and your energy, what is in your subconscious is this feeling of defeat, that even though you are successful in what you do and you are probably appreciated for what you do, it's more than just a Five of Cups, it's a Five of Swords as well. So there's an emotional longing that's coming from this situation. There's a sort of growing increased disappointment and pain from realizing that you're not living up to the full potential that you could be. And that is going to grow and grow inside of you and lead to a lingering sense of defeat. So you need to address this for sure. And what you don't see coming is the Four of Spheres, which is the equivalent of the Four of Discs from the Thoth deck. So perhaps there is some new foundation that can be built out of this realization. I see this as maybe giving a little bit of a hopeful spin to the story and saying that if you address this and start reaching out and being more open to new challenges and new possibilities and not necessarily doing everything as is written, not doing everything by the book, but stretching out and leaving your comfort zone a bit, I think you'll find that there are going to be new abundant opportunities that can come into your life that can provide a better foundation on which to stand. So again, here I see that you are surrounded by an energy of what really feels more like a prison than a castle. But by being a little bit more unconventional or trying new things, I think you can. What you're not going to see coming is some new opportunity that is going to allow you to rebuild this foundation in a way that's going to feel a little bit more fulfilling. So keep an eye out for new things that are around you. Don't necessarily feel like you have to always stay on the track that you're currently on. And I think if you reach out of that comfort zone, you'll be able to find something that's going to help you heal this. Maybe not necessarily like depression or pain, but this growing increased sense of disappointment that is swelling inside of you as you're not feeling challenged in the way that you really could be. And if you reach out and challenge yourself, then I think you'll feel a lot more excited and passionate about the things that you do. So that's the message I have for you today. I hope this was helpful. I hope you enjoyed it. As always, please like and subscribe if you have not already. Leave a comment if you've got anything you'd like to share or say about the video, and if there's anyone that you know that would appreciate this, please share it. And yeah, again, I hope this was helpful or at the very least enjoyable for you, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.